Okay.
You want to let the people who just joined know that we're recording?
So now, yes, Trixie and Rachel, we are going to go ahead and record today's class, which is going to be a fantastic resource for us to use as a tool. Don't worry, you know, it's not going to be mass distributed or anything. And if you prefer to not be on, that's okay. We won't be insulted. You can turn off your camera or whatever. But we just like to let you know that we're recording. So today's class, I'm very, very excited. This is something that we have, you know, just been wanting to dive deeper into. We have such incredible educational programs in our collaborative, but this is something in an area that we really have been like kind of missing, right? Something we've wanted to bring to everyone, and Joan is just the perfect person because this is what she does, this is her passion, this is what she is excited to be able to share. And when people share from a place of passion, you know, like their shine, it is just such a gift. So we are here today to receive this beautiful gift. I'm going to turn it over to our beautiful Joan and let her dig into what we're going to take over today. Have at it, man.
Thank you. So
sorry, Joan, I made a mistake and hit your mute. I'm going to ask you to unmute. My bad.
Hello. Hello.
Yep, we got you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, thank you. Sorry about that.
Check. 1, 2, 3.
Exactly. Okay, and now we can begin.
Hello. So first, let me just make sure that everybody's got the screen. They've got the presentation up. Is that good for everybody? Okay, perfect. So welcome, everyone. This is the first in a series of 3 classes that we're doing. Carrie and I kind of came up with this. I'm excited. I'm so excited to share this with you. This is so much fun. I've had a lot of fun putting this together. So we're going to dive right in. Today's session is the first one, Inner Strength 1, Anchor to Root. It's about grounding and finding ourselves settled and rooted before we move on to the other programs. So a little bit about me. This is me and my lovely girl, BG, on a little trip up north in New Mexico. So I have my oil business is Bosque Essentials. My yoga studio is Bosque Yoga down here right on Rio Grande near Old Town. Lovely small studio. I have been practicing yoga and meditation for probably 25 plus years. I have been teaching now for 6 years. Did my original teacher training when I was living in Phoenix at a really, really wonderful studio there. I've done additional training. I have an additional certification in yoga for cardiac and cancer care through Nishala Joy Devi and the Abundant Wellbeing Group. That was an amazing program to go through, and I use that now. I do a program of meditation with breast cancer patients at Loveless Women's Hospital here in Albuquerque. I know we may have people from all over. I'm also currently 1 year down in a 300-hour yoga philosophy program certification, which is intense to say the least. It was designed as a 1-year program. They gave us the option to do a 2-year. And given that I took over the yoga studio in January, and then we all know what happened basically in March, I decided to take them up on the opportunity to make it a 2-year program. So taking a little bit of pressure off of myself. I teach actively. I have 3 public classes I teach. I teach private classes. I do private coaching in Yogic Path. And I also have a day job in sales, basically. So, you know, there's that too. I'm an executive headhunter. If you want a job in the lighting industry, let me know. Moving along. So here's what we're going to talk about today in this first session. We're going to talk some about meditation, what it is, why we want to do it, and how we do it, right? There's a whole lot of mystery often around meditation. There's often a lot of frustration around meditation. We're also going to talk about the chakra system, and we'll talk some about that pronunciation momentarily. We're going to talk some about the history of it, an overview, what is it really? We're going to talk about what essential oils can help to support your meditation practice, specifically in this session, what you can use to support grounding. That's what we want. And then we're going to focus, and we're going to have some experiential practice in meditation on the root chakra, the Muladora. And we'll wrap up with some next steps. Looking forward, I do have a little assignment for you all, as well as the next class going forward. And I want to say too, at any time, if anybody has a question, either pop it in the chat, Carrie's monitoring that, or if you want to just take yourself off mute and jump in. Anytime up until we actually move into a little bit of practice, that's fine. I love this quote from Thich Nhat Hanh, who's an amazing Buddhist scholar, teacher, monk. Meditation is not an escape. It's the courage to look at reality with mindfulness. And that's really what meditation is. It's not a dropping out. It's not, as many people seem to think, and this is where a lot of frustration arises, it is not the suppression of all thought. That's virtually impossible. I tell meditation students that maybe, if you're a very experienced yogi sitting in a cave in the Himalayas, maybe you can suppress all thoughts. But I would posit that you actually can't, because my guess is that at some point he's wondering what the yogi in the next cave over has that he doesn't have. There's always going to be thoughts. Don't worry about it, right? That's a big thing about meditation. People think, oh, I sat down and I tried to stop my thoughts and it didn't work, so obviously I can't do it. That's not true. The idea is to really allow the mind to focus on a single point. That's what we're going to work with here. That's most of my training in meditation is using a point of focus. The term in yoga is dharana, concentration. To focus the mind, other thoughts will come, but you're going to keep bringing the mind back to your point of focus, whatever it may be. And it doesn't matter if you have to bring your mind back to that point of focus every split second. Eventually, over time, you will bring it back fewer and fewer times. The time between when your mind tracks off to follow a thought will grow. The idea is to let the thoughts, they're going to come through, let them come through. Just let them pass. Don't attach, don't start thinking about them, because then you create this whole train of thought. And before you know it, you're in the trees 4 counties over and you don't know how you got there. And then you have to bring yourself all the way back. It's really just a tool to allow ourselves to find some self-realization, to come inside and really learn who we are. Many, many different types. We're going to work in this series with having that focus on a single point. Why do we want to do meditation? When we meditate, there have been a lot of studies. There's a whole new sort of growing branch of science and study that is looking at meditation and mindfulness practices from the standpoint of modern neuroscience. It's really fascinating. When you're able to move into meditative states, you can dramatically reduce the stress. We're all under stress. We're under a lot of stress right now, many of us, right, in our current situation. Maybe you're working from home. Maybe you have two people working from home and juggling kids doing their schoolwork at home while you're trying to work from home, and you can't really go anywhere. All of that's happening. You may have family stress, whatever stress. We all have some stress. And we've talked a lot in a lot of our classes about what stress does to the body, physically, mentally. It's just so damaging. Establishing a regular meditation practice can really reduce that stress. What it will help to do is bring you to a point where all of those outside stressors and outside triggers will still come at you, but your reaction to them will be different. If you can react from a place of calm steadiness, as opposed to flying off the handle, I'm not gonna lie, I fly off the handle. It happens. I will scream at my computer when I'm at work. It happens. But the more you can get into a steady practice, the fewer times that happens, right? I had a meditation teacher who said, you know, when you really get into it, maybe 9 times out of 10, you have the same reaction to a trigger, but one time you have a calmer reaction. The next 9, 10, 20, you have that same flare reaction. And then maybe you 2 times have a calmer reaction. So it's a path, it's a practice. How, we talked a little bit about that. We're going to focus on having that point of focus, which is where the chakras come in. Many, many different ways to do it. None of them are wrong. When I work with students or work with people one-on-one, the best way, people will ask me, what's the best way to meditate? The best way for you to meditate is the way that you will actually do. Same thing, we talk about this with the oils, right? With the cleaning, right? What's the one that resonates for you that you'll actually sit down and do? Doesn't matter which one it is. That's the best one for you, right? So we get this single point of focus, and we're going to use, because I am a yoga teacher, and because many of us are familiar with it, we're going to use the chakra system. But before we move on to that, I want to ask you quickly, and you can just pop this in the chat. Do you have a meditation practice now? Maybe you've tried it, it didn't stick. Maybe you have a strong daily practice. Pop it in the chat. It's just interesting to know, and then Carrie, you can keep an eye on those and sort of let me know. What do people think? I'm going to go on now. So you've heard me say chakra. Many people say chakra. Chakra versus chakra, or shocked woodchucks. I wanted them to go slower, but there they are, shocked woodchucks. It's a little bit more than just a difference in pronunciation. I know, I love the woodchucks, right? The difference in pronunciation is chakra is the Sanskrit pronunciation. Chakra is an English, anglicized Western pronunciation. It goes deeper than that, however. The chakras, the chakra system originated around the 5th, 6th century of the Common Era in India, in the tantric yoga traditions. It is a far cry from what we know in Western chakra practices in yoga studios. And we're going to get into that a little bit. For our purposes, we're going to hang out with the shocked. I will still say chakra just because it's the way I say it, and I don't think I can retrain myself to say chakra. Say it however you like. What I want to do here for just a little bit is to have you understand the differences in what we're practicing with, what you are most familiar with, and to understand where it came from. It's no good or bad. There's no judgment. There is a difference. So chakra systems. This picture obviously is what you're sort of probably more used to, right? The lovely rainbow of colors, the association with emotional states, etc. The chakra system started and originated in the tantric yoga traditions. It comes from those teachings. There are a multitude of chakra systems. Some have 3, some have 5, some have 7, some have 30 some. It's widely varied. The earliest system comes, we see it first in a text, around the 5th or 6th century in this era, in the Common Era. It developed through the tantric traditions, reaching its height around the year 1000, and spread pan-Asian from there, really throughout the Eastern traditions. So you see it, you find it in many places. The true meaning of the chakras in the tantric system is that they are defined as a focus for meditation, a point in the body that is both just conceived as well as an energy point where you can bring the focus of your meditation. Originally and in traditional work with this, they're used as a point to install an element, one of the 5 elements, as well as a deity in that point in your body. They're arranged around the central core. So the central core of the body runs basically crown of the head to the perineum, the floor of the pelvis. And if you think about it, think about major emotional events in your life. They all happen along that core, right? If we start at the bottom, obviously, sex, childbirth is right there. Moving up, how often do you if you have a strong emotional reaction and you get that knot in your belly, you get that anxiety, that happens along that central core. Heartbreak in the heart center, along the central core. Some emotional shock and you're choked up, again, right in there. It all happens in that central core. So that's where they're aligned. They're not on the spine. They are somewhat amorphous, moving points. The earliest, we talked about that. It's really interesting to me in the earliest chakra system, the root chakra, the Muladora, is placed in the heart, not at the pelvic floor. The Muladora is always the lowest chakra, regardless of where the chakras are set in whichever tradition you're working with. The Western tradition, what we see here, what we're going to work primarily with, because it's lovely, originated in the early 20th century. It is not ancient. It came through the translation of a Sanskrit text. The text dates around 1500, so medieval times. The translation was published in 1918, and it was picked up by very strong at that time. You may know some about this, that those esoteric traditions, the theosophists, occultists, New Age. That's where all of this comes from. It's not bad. I love it. It's beautiful, right? But all of the things that a lot of people associate with the chakras, the rainbow colors, that comes from this early 20th century. Look at it. The emotions, the set points where they are in the body, that comes from the early 20th century. All of the associations with color, crystals, yes, essential oils, emotional states, psychological states, psychological development. All of that comes from this early 20th century view of the chakras. So I bring all that in so that you're aware, right? It's a lovely system to work with, but be aware that it is not ancient. It is not traditional. It has some ties to the traditional, but it is really quite modern. But it's lovely. So we're going to move a little bit deeper. And what I want you to do now, since this is experiential, I know a lot of you have oils handy, right? So I've put some up here. I have some others with me. So we're really talking a lot today about the yoga collection, that 3-blend collection that is so incredible. If you don't have it, yes, grab it. Exactly, Trixie. I love this. This was my introduction to doTERRA, was the yoga collection. Someone gave it to me as a gift. Anchor, align, arise. Today we're going to work with anchor. So if you've got your anchor, I've got mine over here in the diffuser. If you've got it, grab it. If you don't have it, here's the thing. Like everything else, use what you have, that we talk about with oils all the time. Use what you have. For me, I love Beautiful. It's what I put on before my meditation in the morning. Now, if you are not lucky enough to get this lovely, beautiful touch in the BOGOs in the spring, well, look, you can get the body mist with Beautiful, right? Use that if that's what you like, right? Before you sit down to meditate, spray some on your arms, spray some in your hand, do the hand diffuser with your beautiful body mist, right? You're going to moisturize your hands and you're going to have that beautiful scent, and then put it all over you. I also use Balance. I use Console. That's a big one for me right now. So for today, what I want you to grab is the oil that you have to hand that is the one that makes you just sort of take it in and go, ah, grounding, calming. Not the ones with bright notes. We're going to get to those in the next couple of sessions. But what do you have? Maybe you want to just grab a bottle of vetiver.
Somehow we lost audio, Joan. I'm not sure. Let me double check. I didn't do anything. It wasn't me this time. Yeah, somehow you ended up muted again. I'm going to ask you to unmute.
I thought we were all just being zen, breathing.
I did too. It took
my eyes were closed. I didn't even know.
until Leslie was like hearing, because I was over here like
anchoring.
I was all like typing vetiver is every, you know, like I was totally in the same space. And
right,
then,
and I can't see it.
Like, I can't hear
right,
it.
so you guys know, but there was something weird with the audio on my computer, right? So I'm actually on the audio on my phone. So hopefully we'll keep an eye out. If I get accidentally muted again, you know, just ask me to unmute. So grab that oil, bring it in, breathe it deep, right? So there's so many oils. Again, don't feel like you have to use a specific one. We talk about this a lot, right? Use the oil that speaks to you. If you've been to any of Diana's classes, you know those emotional wellness classes. It's the oil that speaks to you. Maybe you love lavender. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't like Anchor. I don't understand that, but perhaps, right? You maybe, I don't know. Get what's right for you and just draw it in. I also put this in here because, of course, right? Here we go. October 1st, you can do this mind and mood. This is going to be an interesting one, I think, to get. So Carrie has frozen for me. So I hope she's okay. Okay, there she is. She's back. She was frozen. So And it's telling me my internet connection is unstable. Okay, fingers crossed we can get through this. So, of course, the Mind and Mood Kit, right? It's coming. If you ordered the convention box, you're going to get this #1 kit in the convention box. I can't wait. I'm super excited about it. And I'm super excited about the other ones in the series, as I am with all of them, right? So I had to throw that in here as well. Use what works for you for grounding and balance. So now we're going to move on to where really the meat of the matter. You've got your oil, you've taken that in, you're feeling good. Muladora Chakra. It is in the system we're using, located at the pelvic floor. So it's not at your tailbone, it's not the base of the spine. It's at the pelvic floor. The yantra here that you're seeing is a traditional, very simple version. These can get incredibly elaborate. This is a really simple one. The yellow square or golden square in the middle of the yantra represents the element. The bottommost chakra, the Muladora, in this case of the pelvic floor, is the element of earth. It is solidity. Out of the 5 elements, it's solidity. In this Western English esoteric system that we're working with, what comes in here, the emotional connections, are around safety and security, hearth and home. These are big right now, right? We have these threats to our hearth and home. We have this pandemic. We have all of that happening. The root chakra, if you can get grounded and settled here and work with this and use it as a focus for meditation, it can help you to feel more stable, more secure, more grounded. So you can work with chakras and meditation in 3 ways. Some people like to look at the yantra and meditate on that. Some people use a sound, the mantra, we'll get to that. There's also gestures, mudras, associated with each. So we're going to go through all of them, but first we're going to work with breath. So take a comfortable seat. If you're seated on the floor, that's great. I'm actually not. I'm on a chair. You can sit however you like. Another myth about meditation. You don't have to be sitting in a fancy lotus pose on the floor in pain, right? If you can't sit on the floor, sit in a chair. If you don't like to sit in a chair, stand. There's walking meditation. You're going to get a little bit of instruction on that too to take with you moving on. But sit comfortably wherever and however you're seated. Don't slump. So I know, Carrie, you're sitting in bed. You can meditate in bed. Prop yourself up a lot, right? Have a tall spine. We're working with the root chakra. So we really want that connection from the root into the earth, ideally. But it can be through the chair, it can be anywhere, right? Wherever you are, feel settled in your pelvis and let the spine rise tall. Let the shoulders relax. You can close your eyes or not. It's totally your choice. Some people do not like to have the eyes closed. It can be triggering. If you prefer a soft gaze, have a soft gaze. As you inhale, slow your inhale through the nose. Take it nice and slow. And imagine that you are drawing that inhale all the way to that root, all the way to the pelvic floor. As you breathe, keep bringing the breath in your mind to the pelvic floor. Keep your awareness there. Breathe deeply, right there. This is meditation. This is as easy as it is, and as difficult as it is. My cat has come to join. We shall see how he does. Draw the breath in, focus your awareness. Remember when I talked about the definition, the original definition of the chakras? It is a point of focus for meditation. So keep your awareness right there for a few more breaths. As you keep your awareness on that point, the pelvic floor, you'll notice it's going to drift. Your mind will wander. Bring it back to awareness at that point in the body. Doesn't matter how many times you bring it back. And relax, release that. There you go. See, you've all meditated. So another way to work with chakras is to actually gaze at the yantra. You can gaze at that, have the awareness at the pelvic floor, soft gaze. In this case, the golden yellow square represents earth. The Sanskrit letter in the middle of that is the symbol for the mantra sound that we'll get to. All of the yantras for chakras have a set number of lotus petals. The root has 4. There are many other symbols that can be associated with this. Different Sanskrit letter in each petal, the different deities, that can all be in here. I wanted to keep a pretty simple one for us here. We don't need to get into all the other philosophical about the deities and who's there. There's like an 8-trunked elephant in here and just, stuff. Don't worry about that. So maybe now for a few moments, keep that deep breath and have a soft gaze on the symbol. And just a few breaths there. Again, every time the mind wanders, bring it back, awareness to the pelvic floor, soft gaze on the yantra. And let that go. You may have, you may not have. If anybody felt anything different in how that felt for you internally when you were gazing at the yantra as opposed to just focusing on the point and doing the deep breath, toss that in the chat. we'll have, I'm sure we'll have lots of chat and questions afterwards. Maybe, maybe not, right? The sound. So sound in Sanskrit, sound in yoga is really important. My path is as a bhakti yogi, which is the yoga of devotion. Primary practices for me are chant, as opposed to postural, as opposed to other things. I chant a lot, all the time. I chant on the ditch trail, walking my dog. Anywhere you can chant. Sound in Sanskrit, the vibrational energy is really important with it. I also have, and I'm gonna chime it, I have 3 crystal bowls, one of which is tuned for the root chakra, tuned to C. So hopefully, let me know if this is like too loud. I love crystal bowls. I play all of them. It drives my animals away. They don't like to be in the room if I'm playing all of them at once. So that's the root chakra bowl that resonate. The bija or seed mantra for the root chakra is LAM, L-A-M. Kind of rhymes with thumb. Lum, lum. So we're going to use that. Feel free, right? You guys are on mute, so you're home alone. It's fine if you want to chant. It's fine if you don't want to as well. I always give that option. Not everybody's comfortable chanting, so don't chant if you don't want to. If you're not chanting, allow yourself to receive the vibrational energy. With this, what we'll do is just do a few rounds. And what we'll do is we'll inhale, chant LAM over and over and over again until you need another breath. Take another breath and chant. Keep your awareness at that point at the pelvic floor. So it sounds like this. Lum, 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 lum. Lum, 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 lum. Lum, 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 lum. So play with that. Maybe that speaks to you. Again, just like with the yantra, did that feel different? Is that something that resonates for you, to use that vibrational chant?
Yes.
It's fabulous. I mean, the gesture, the mudra that goes with this, it goes with the root chakra because the mudra is for the earth element. So regardless of where this chakra lines up, right? Like I said, if it's up in the heart, it's still the earth element because it's the lowest of the chakras. For our system, it's down at the pelvic floor. So the Bu mudra is the pinky finger, the ring finger curl in, just kept there with the thumb, and the index and second finger are out in a light V. And this comes down, you can't see because I'm sitting in a chair, but if you're sitting on the floor and you can take that down and touch those fingertips to the floor. If you're not touching the floor, just point them down there, right? You can come back to the mantra. You can come back to looking, gazing at the yantra. You can come back to simply being aware of the breath and having the focus at the pelvic floor as you hold this mudra. I usually will chant with mudra. You can do any of those things. For me, I like to chant. Lam, 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 lam. Lam, 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 lam. Lam, 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 lam. And release. Those are the myriad ways that you can use a chakra for meditation, bringing in other elements, supporting yourself with the oil that's going to bring you grounding, using any of these. Gaze, sound, mudra, none of the above. All of those are possible here. It's really about, again, it comes back to, right, there's no one way that you have to do this. It's how will work for you. What resonates with you that will keep you doing it. That's really the key. So where do we go from here? So my charge to you is, and when we finish screen sharing, we'll see the chat and we can have a discussion. If you don't currently have a regular meditation practice, I strongly encourage you, in fact, I challenge you to incorporate it. It can be as little as 5 minutes a day. If 5 minutes is too much in your schedule, feels like too much to sit, start with a minute. We can all carve out that much. You will start to feel it, just like with oils and our supplements and everything that we are always talking about here in these classes. It's about the consistency. Sitting down and quietly breathing for a half an hour once every 2 weeks is much less effective, in fact, really quite ineffective, except at that moment, than having 5 minutes every morning where you practice consistently. I would also tell you, ideally, practice in the same place every day. There is a reason for that. And that is that you will generate some very positive energy in that place. The more that you can have a place and the more that you do it consistently and you generate that positive energy there, it's going to help to draw you back to that place, to get you back onto the cushion, into the seat, however you want to do it. I, in this room here is my personal studio room at home. I also have my altar is in this room. Maybe at the end of the third session, we'll take a look at the altar. It's in this room. Time of day, you know, again, it's what's going to work for you. Ideally, when it's really quiet. So for me, I aim to be on the cushion. I actually use a kneeling stool. It's a Japanese style of kneeling stool to meditate. I try to be there between 4:30, 4:45 in the morning. The hour between 4 and 5 in the morning is the quietest hour. There's some studies, I meant to find this, there's some reference somewhere. There's been studies done between 4 and 5 a.m., all, you know, as it moves around the world, is the quietest time. If you're looking at it in a traditional way, and certainly if you're doing a chanting practice, for me, when I'm chanting Sanskrit prayers. They are more easily received into the universe when it is quiet. They're also more easily received at that sort of dusk, you know, that time, they call it liminal time before dawn, hour or two before dawn. It's also a time, a lot of the chants I do have been chanted continuously by someone somewhere in the world for thousands of years. So you connect into that energy of that happening out there. And you can sort of sense that more when you're in that quiet time, as opposed to, you know, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon and somebody's about to get home and you need to put dinner on, but oh, I haven't meditated, so let me go sit. It's going to be harder, right, to get your mind steady. There's a mnemonic that some people use, RPM. I don't do it because I need a few other things, but RPM, rise, P, meditate. You can do it that way, right? It's not the very first thing I do in the morning, but it's pretty close to the first thing I do in the morning. So I challenge you, 5 minutes a day. Set a timer, use the Insight Timer app. That's what I use. There are multiple apps. See about doing it without a guide, without music. If that's impossible for you and you find a simple 1 to 5 minute guided practice that works for you, do that, right? Just do it. It's getting cooler. Okay, not today, tomorrow, but you know, it's getting cooler. One of the wonderful ways you can meditate is a walking meditation. Again, that's really, really grounding. Depending on where you are and where you can get to, if you can walk outside barefoot on the earth, that's incredibly grounding. So even maybe just go and stand outside before sunrise, barefoot, breathe, bring your awareness to that root. Imagine and energize that connection into the earth, into solidity, stability. So there, I'll check in with you, right? And we'll see, all right? I think we have some posts. We're gonna sort of keep comments going on there. So the next session, I believe I have this date right, and we're moving to the 5:30 time coming up next, right? So we have that October 21st, align to center. We won't do as much of the history. I may touch on it real quick if people weren't in the first one, but we're gonna look at sort of the central axis chakras from the pelvic area up, probably up to the throat, maybe the heart. We'll go right in there, in that area is what we'll focus on next time. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Text is easy. That's my cell. That's my email through the studio. That's the studio website. You can always reach out to me. You can reach me through the Raven's Nest Essentials group, any of those ways. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing, unless Carrie, if you want to take a look, if anybody wants to look back at any slides.
Well, they were all so good.
I know you want to see the woodchucks again.
I screenshotted the
What?
I screenshotted the yantra so that I could see it again.
There you go. Yeah.
Snap what we need.
Very
Thank
smart.
you, Joan. That was
I'm gonna
incredible.
pull it off.
So
Okay.
any questions though? Wow. And Joan, I mean, the chat was just ripping through. A lot of people, we seem to have a nice, beautiful mix here of people who are really good and are working with the practice of meditation. And it's something that they've made a priority. And then a large amount of us who have made attempts, but have some struggles with it. And in that, for different reasons, it seems.
Yes.
Some interesting, like I really liked and found it interesting, Nikki's comment about it. It often can trigger her PTSD. Do you have any thoughts or suggestions on how she can still, get some fruit from this without having that side effect?
Yeah, no, that is not at all uncommon, right? So first of all, be aware of that. I would also say, and I should have mentioned this, if you're struggling sometimes with extreme PTSD or with a really strong depression, sometimes meditation is not right for you. It has been for me, right? I have clinical depression. I've had 3 major episodes. I've been episode, symptom, and medication free for 15 years now. Most of that through yoga and meditation.
Wow, that's phenomenal.
Yeah, that's what it's done for me. But it can trigger. So I can speak sort of in general terms, but if there's something that more specific that you want to talk to me about sort of offline, reach out, feel free. Sometimes it may be helpful to use, in that case, to use more of a guided meditation rather than simply awareness on the breath. Sometimes that going inside without any other sort of, I don't want to say distraction, but in a sense, right? Something else going on, that can be too much. That can be triggering. For some people, and like I did mention, right, closing the eyes can be triggering sometimes for people. So that's why I always say, keep a soft gaze if that's easier. So I would say experiment with some guided meditations. Find one maybe that you like. For me, I will tell you with guided meditations, I do like them. There are some I lead, there are some I listen to. It's all about the voice for me, 100% in a guided meditation. If I can't handle the person's voice, I'm like, no, it's not working for me.
For sure.
So
I like the
experiment.
cadence too. Like
It is.
cadence of speaking can take me far, far away, or it can make me stand up and leave the room.
Yes, right? It's very true. The good thing is there's a bajillion of them out there. So the Insight Timer app is a great place to start. There are a ton of, Rachel, I think you use, have you been using this one? Yeah. So there are a ton of guided. There's a ton of music ones. There are singing bowl tracks on Insight that are tuned to all of the different chakras, right? So you can find all of those, right? Just bear in mind that that's all that modern stuff. That is not ancient. That is, here, let me, here, it's Insight.
Insight.
Yeah,
see, I would
Insight. And I can post it in the group as well. So, some of those, although those I would be careful about actually, because I'm not sure with the singing bowl here, that sometimes can trigger. Sometimes for me, if they're using the metal Tibetan singing bowls, I sometimes have trouble with them. There are some people who react badly to singing bowls. It's that vibrational energy, right? So see what works. I would poke around and find some, see what feels comfortable for sure. And then if there's anything in particular that you want to talk about more in depth about that, I'm happy to talk to you about it.
That's very helpful. Any other questions though, guys, or comments?
Thoughts?
Crystal says, it's me and Chris. So I have a question. How long did you meditate before you noticed that it was actually working? Like, and yeah.
You know, it's going to be different for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Some people will drop in quickly and find some relief almost immediately. You may find that sort of immediately after you feel good, but it wears off, right? It comes down to the consistency. Gosh, I've been meditating for a really long time, so I don't know really. I don't know how long it was personally for me. I don't want to scare you with this. I would say just keep practicing. When I did a training in a style of meditation called Vipassana, which is what the whole mindfulness-based stress reduction comes out of. It's a 10-day residential training, and it's 10 days silent. And you don't start learning the technique until the 4th day, because it takes that long of silently meditating 12 hours a day for 3.5 days before they start teaching you the technique. Because what they say is it will take that long to truly tune out, right? It's a fantastic program if you want to do it. I need to go back. It's been a long time since I spent 10 days there. But for most of us, as the term householder, right, we have obligations. It's really hard to take that time. So that's why I suggest really finding the quietest time in your day to do it, whenever that is. It is better in the morning, because at the end of the day, what may happen if you put it off to the end of the day, everybody's gone to bed, whatever. By that point, you're really tired too. And you're gonna be like, oh yeah, but now I'm tired. No, okay. Right? Yeah. So do it early is better. Yeah, it's gonna change for everybody. I'd love to hear back, right? Try it and see, and just keep doing it. But I will tell you, if you try it, you do it one day, you do it again 3 days later, maybe a week later, it's not going to start to sink in. It's not going to take root until you really sort of make that commitment to doing it really regularly. Yeah, I can't say how long it took for me. I don't know.
Well, that makes sense too. I would imagine, and maybe I'm wrong because I don't do it yet, but that there are times when it is more helpful, and times where maybe because of everything else in the world going on around you, that you might have times where you're really kind of in that zone and times where you're kind of not, just like other things in life.
Absolutely.
Where
I've been meditating for a long time, and there are mornings when I don't want to. I'm like, no, I'm busy. I don't want to. Want to. And I drag myself in and I sit myself down. And I'm never sorry that I did once I do. But yeah, and there are mornings when I'll go longer than I anticipated going, just because I'm in the groove.
Yeah.
And there are mornings when I'm gonna get through my 30 minutes and my mind is like a constant, just like, and I'm pulling it back constantly. So, and that's with doing it for years. We live in the world, right? We live in the world. and the world is swirling around us. And so it's a way to really let yourself be more settled with all of that swirling around you.
Mm. So I have a question.
Yes.
How related to the physical, like this, like I am, you know, I'm understanding the grounding, the rooting, you know, get into that space, right? But based on, like you were talking about the chakras and how that is a little bit less focused on like this location where we're talking about the root being in this more modern. Is there a physical connection in the healing process? What I'm thinking of here is people who have like sexual trauma or things of this nature. Like, is this the type of practice that can be emotionally healing for that region as well? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Great
or is
question.
there just no tie to the physical? Do you know what I don't know. I feel like that is something that comes up a lot.
Yep. Yes. So in the modern Western view, because I don't have it in front of me. So if, you know, and if you're in the modern Western view of it, in the traditional, in the tantric practices, in those lineages, in the very traditional view, no, absolutely none. There's no connection to any physical body system.
Right.
In the Western modern esoteric view, yes, absolutely. And there's multiple books, right? I have some, I love them, right? Anodia Judith, Chakra Yoga, Wheels of Life is a beautiful book. It's all the modern stuff. So, you know, be aware. So let me, because I never look at it. So body parts, according to this, for the Muladora are the legs, feet, bones, and large intestine. The sexual organs in this modern system are more associated with the next chakra up, the Svadhisthana, that we'll get to next time. That's sort of in the bowl of the pelvis, couple inches below the belly button.
Right.
Sort of more where those organs are located. So I would, and you know, the idea of like healing through the chakras, balancing the chakras being out of balance, that all comes from this modern view, right? It's all since 1918, New Age stuff. But it, you know, it's lovely. And if it works for you, then that's fantastic, right?
Yeah.
So it in the very traditional sense, there is no, and I'm going to take a look. This other book, this is a fun little book, the Chakra Bible. So you got all this, like, there's crystals, there's all kind of stuff. Yeah, none of that is real. Anyway, oh, here, look, there, if you can see it. I don't know if you can see it. There's like the 7-trunked elephant.
Yeah.
That Yantra. One of them are more sort of a mix by physiological. Now, see, this one does say the reproductive system with the Muladora. So that's why also you have to be a little bit careful with all of these sorts of questions. And I saw a question come up, right, about, you know, how do you know if one is out of balance? From a yoga philosophy view, there's no such thing. Right. But if you're feeling, like, for instance, the way I look at it is, if I'm feeling out of balance, it may be because I'm not feeling grounded enough. And so I may then focus on that root chakra. The other Svadhisthana, which is more traditionally associated with reproductive organs, is also the element for Svadhisthana is water. It's fluidity, it's creativity is the way we look at it. So, you know, if you're feeling something there, then work with that one. It was interesting. One of my teachers said, put it this way, right? They're associated with elements, right? And so as we move up, and as we'll see next time, in the Western system, the heart chakra, the element is air. in the Western system. The element for that chakra is actually wind, Vayu. So his point, he's a very funny professor. He posits, you know, do you ever look at a lot of yogis have really unstable relationships because their heart is filled with wind. So maybe you need to put that Muladara up here in the heart and instill a little earth and grounding there, right? Wow. So it's really about what you need and what you're trying to work with and what your goal is, right? The traditional sense in the traditional tantric practices, the goal is a focus for meditation to achieve self-realization, to achieve integration with the divine. That's the point. So everything else, all the other stuff has sort of been layered on. And so you can kind of play with it, right? And know that there's no set thing, especially in this Western view of it, right? Be a shocked woodchuck, play with it, see what works for you, right? If you know, it's really a matter of personal to tell you, right? So I would say I think, and I'm not sure who it was G6, I think, who asked, how do you tell if a chakra is out of balance? I would say my question back would be, what are you feeling? What are you feeling unbalanced in? And then go from there, right? And then look at, so if you're feeling like maybe you're feeling too flighty, right? So maybe then if we're looking at the Western system, maybe there's too much happening with that Vayu, with air, with wind, and maybe you want to focus more on the root. If you're feeling lethargic or stuck, right? Get out of that root chakra, move up, find some fluidity, find some movement, focus, and work with those chakras that are going to bring in those elements to try and balance that out. Does that make sense? Did that help with that question?
Yeah, it's like in listening, being intuitive about, you know, and you might be wrong, but that's okay, because you're working. It's okay. You know, you're working how to listen to what.
Right. And there, you know, there's tons of books, there's tons of resources on this, on the more modern system, right? There's the whole thing about G6, I like that. You know, and there's a whole, you know, there are crystals associated with each. There are other colors, there are scents associated with each. People made this stuff up since 1918, right? So go with it. Go, right? I mean, that's the truth. I'm just going to tell you that right out. That's the truth. People made it up. It's the occultists, it's the theosophists, it's that new age stuff. People don't like to hear that, but it's true. So, but go with it, right? If it works for you, if you're feeling something good about it, if it helps you, use it. It's fantastic, right? I use this system. I meditate this way. All of the Bija mantras are part of my morning chant, all of them. I work through them all. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's nice that I feel a little bit more free to experiment and explore, because I'm not kind of insulting a tradition of another, of that I don't understand. Does that make sense? Because I mean, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I can't walk into a certain, you know, maybe a religious place or a church or something and understand everybody's doing the upsy downsy, turny, spinny, clapping. You know what I mean? And you're just kind of going, oh, I don't know, and I'm going to do it wrong, and I'm going to insult somebody. I like the idea that there's freedom here of being able to explore and express and figure out what is going to work for you. For me, that it makes it more approachable.
You know, my guess is, I mean, I'm certainly not, and my guess is that nobody here is actually an initiate in a particular tantric tradition and lineage. So go for it. See what works for you, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, and Crystal said that did help. Any questions though, or thoughts? I don't know about you guys, but I am so excited about this series. Like,
I need all the pelvic floor breathing I can have. My pelvic floor benefits.
So cute. You're gonna root it down.
Yeah.
What?
It's
right?
really, you know, that anchor, the rooting, it's important. It is.
So we're going to do as like a homework, right? Challenge this sort of root anchoring, trying for 5 minutes a day. That's kind of the goal situation through until our next session. Is that correct? Am I right in that assignment?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Because I can't wait to hear what people think.
Homework.
Right.
I like homework too.
And if you're struggling with it, reach out, right? Reach out if you're struggling.
Mm-hmm.
Let me know. You know, I'm here to help.
Number now, Joan.
What?
I got your phone number now.
Now. Well, we are going to try. I mean, I know that Joan created an event for this series in her group. Feel free to go over and get involved in that. That's going to be in Bosque, almost Central.
You're welcome, Gail. It's lovely to see you.
We're going to try to get it into like so that everybody's able from all the different groups to join into the event. So reach out to Joan to get into that event, because in there throughout the next month, the concept is that, you know, like the books that Joan was talking about and the app and asking questions and all of us kind of going, you know, I can't, you know, cave, right? Or whatever. You know, we'll be able to support each other. So the series are going to kind of expand more beyond just the Zoom class and into an actual, you know, education, if you will, or a broader, deeper education in it. So I'm super excited about that and keeping this connection going.
Heck yes.
Yeah, and building upon
the ability to, you know, put questions in there and all of that. Posts in there, questions and just and post in and see how, you know, let me know. Let us all know how it's going for you.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm excited. All right, guys, I cannot thank you enough, Joan. I'm even more excited now. And can you just forever do the crystal bowl like all the time, every class?
All the time.
Yeah, I know. That one is my favorite one. I have the three I have are the root, the heart, the crown. And so, yeah. So maybe the third session I'll play all of them together.
That would be amazing. If you ever have had the chance, anyone here, to do a sound bath, ooh, is that fun? That is incredible.
Yes.
I want
Manny, and I mean, I was in tears. It was beyond. It was so beautiful.
do that.
I got to do it at the Taos Mothership during the winter solstice.
What?
It was cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And there was beer. So, you know, it was good.
You.
It was amazing. It was an incredible experience.
Yeah.
They'll do it again. But right here in Albuquerque, there's
you can find them occasionally. There's some sound baths and sound immersions, gong baths. Yeah. I mean, the first one that I ever went to was when I was living in Orlando, and there's a guy who's a gong player, drummer, just freaking amazing. And it was like the earth was speaking to me. It was like this. It was like the voice of the earth. Yeah.
The vibration just hit.
You know, but if there's a gong that's like, you know, 4 feet across on a stand, along with a whole bunch of bowls and smaller gongs and other stuff, and that's all happening at once. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Are you lying down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You can just let go and
Is lie down and let go. And it's
it.
interesting, right? Because some people really don't like. I mean, I've played bowls for people in classes and had people that are like, well, yeah, Rachel knows, right? Yeah. So Devin was like, no way. Yeah. Yeah. He was like, whoa. Which is interesting, right? Because Gail comes to my Sunday class. It's interesting because sometimes people will have that reaction in Yoga Nidra too. Yeah. And get super anxious and need to like sit up and get out of it. Yeah, it happens. Yeah, but the bowls more so, just because that, depending on where they're tuned, there's a bowl at the yoga studio that I actually don't like. The tune on that bowl, I do not like.
That bowl's
vibrates weirdly for me. I actually don't play that bowl. It's there. It's nice.
It makes sense
Don't touch
because
it.
you're getting the vibration, but also the sound, and it almost is like it's shaking loose all the crap, right? And
Oh,
when
yeah.
the crap is shook loose, well, then what do you do with it, right? And
Right.
so it can either be like cleansing, or it can be like make it stop, you know,
Yeah.
like too much.
Makes sense.
You know,
Oh,
and
nice.
so,
Romelia is telling us about a sound bath.
Douglas,
Yeah. It's amazing, isn't it? It's so amazing.
incredible. This class was amazing. I'm
Yes.
I'm excited about my
It's
homework.
overwhelming.
It is.
I felt overwhelmed with the sound bath. It was just so deep
It can be.
and
Yeah.
resonating, and I had a tough time with it.
Yep.
But it was beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely overwhelming. I mean, the tears and such weren't like I'm sad about. It was just sort of the release,
Oh, yeah.
what coming from all, you know, places. So
Yep.
but yeah, really cool.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Wow, I'm all fired up. It's Wednesday. Oh, tonight, guys, men's health class, organ health and cleanse, because we are going to do another cleanse in October. So we're going to get the guys all suited up and ready to clean out them organs. So if you have any men in your life who need a good organ cleanse and just want to learn about organs and organ health in general, I think Mandy's doing kidneys, liver, heart, lungs, just kind of going through that process, you know, those different things and talking about good habits. Then have them come at 7 o'clock, which is in like an hour and 10 minutes. So otherwise, wow, I am just beyond excited. Joan, Matt made a good point.
And you know what? I forgot to tell you this, right? So as you get ready to embark on your committing to 5 minutes a day or whatever, tomorrow at 5 a.m. is the new moon. The new moon is the time for setting intentions. There you go. Timing is perfect.
Oh, that is good timing.
Good. Thank you. That's perfect.
Carrie
timing.
froze.
Thank you.
Everybody's frozen. Maybe I'm frozen.
I think you're frozen. I don't know. All right, guys.
Thank you, Joan.
Thank you so much. This was beautiful. See what I meant when
Is it
people,
me?
yeah, when people share their passion, doesn't it come through like a real gift?
You're so welcome.
Just beautiful.
Thank you, Joan. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Okay. Bye.